we're in the same position with Kenny as we were last week. We'll give him a few reps and kind of see where that leads us. But just as I said a week ago in this setting, Mason Rudolph was scheduled to be the quarterback for the week, and we'll see where Kenny is. We have the same mentality as we start this week. Obviously, we have a great deal more comfort because of what we've seen in stadium from Mason Rudolph, and that helps us. But we still really are in the same posture. He's got the ball to start the week, and we'll see where Kenny is from a mobility perspective, and then kind of go from there and plan day by day based on the things that we see from that perspective.
Was there any pause or hesitation about putting Mason back in there after what you saw the other day?
No, and really there's multiple variables in the discussion, and Kenny's health or his relative health is a component of it as well. Obviously, we feel better having the tangible evidence of performance this week as we had than we did a week ago. But really, as I stand here, we're kind of in the same mentality in terms of how we're approaching the week in terms of the day-to-day aspect of it.
To be clear, Kenny, if he's cleared, he will go on Sunday.
I'm not into hypotheticals. We'll see what the performance looks like tomorrow. Mason Rudolph has the ball as we stand here today.
That was Mike Tomlin during his weekly press conference addressing the quarterback situation for this upcoming game against the Seattle Seahawks. And as you can hear, Mike Tomlin sticking with Mason Rudolph. You know, Mason Rudolph had a good game against the Cincinnati Bengals. 17 for 27, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And the most important thing was the points, 34 points. And Mason Rudolph just played a complete game from start to finish. That was some of the best quarterback play the Steelers have had in a long time. Like I said, a complete game from the opening, from the second play, from George Pickens, 86 yards, all the way down to the end of the game. Mason was aggressive. He wasn't scared when it was third and 6. He went out there, put his body on the line, stiff arm a guy, and so Mason, I believe, deserved another start, and it looks like Coach Mike Tomlin has agreed, and if you look at the Kenny Pickett situation, man, coming back from that high ankle sprain, give him all the time he needs. That's what the angle Mike Tomlin used, but I think that was just him letting Kenny Pickett down real light. He didn't want to say, hey, I think Mason will give us a better shot in this game. But I believe that's what that's the indication. As you can hear what he said, the in-stadium performance, what Mike Tomlin said, was one of the factors why they wanted to stick with Mason, because you could just see how Mason commanded the offense, man, how he ran it, and how efficient he was. 4 catches for George Pickens, and he almost had 200 yards, 195 with 4 catches. That's efficient, so, and Mason, just deserved it all the way around, man. This is his time, and it was good that they let him, have some input. He said they let him have some input in the offense. He got all the reps, got a little input, and you got a good performance. So, and then Kenny Pickett, I'm pretty surprised. I thought that Mike Tomlin would go back to Kenny Pickett because that's his guy, and you're going to want to give that guy every opportunity to prove that he is the guy, especially if he's your guy, and a lot of people said that Kenny Pickett, people think that Kenny Pickett was a reach. You could have just waited, sign a free agent and wait until you can get a better pick, quarterback. So, Tomlin is going to want to, make himself look right because, like I said, that's his guy. Everyone knows that. But you can't deny the performance that Mason Rudolph put out there, So, and then on the Kenny Pickett thing, okay, you want to evaluate him. You want to see what he has. But look at the personnel. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers now Yeah, Faulkner and Sullivan, the play caller, and however they do that, but they're probably not going to be there next year. So there's going to be a new book. So seeing what Kenny Pickett got in with this old, it's still the lingering Matt Canada book, but with this, just their little tweaks. You can't just revamp a whole offense, on the fly like that, because they did fire Matt Canada in season. So his playbook is still surface. It's still around. It's just a little bit of things. You see jet sweep still. They scored on one. Jaylen Warren made a hell of a block. So, you still see it in there. So it's like, how much are you really going to evaluate Kenny Pickett using this same personnel? So you want to, seeing what he can do in these last 2 games is like, all right, it's going to be a new playbook. It's going to be new personnel. So if that's the case, why not? Why be in a rush, And then he's coming off an ankle anyway. Is he mobile enough? Will he set the offense back? Playing a little timid, coming back off that ankle, not trying to, just trying to be not perfect, but just trying to manage and just, you don't want that when you got a guy like Mason who's hungry, and I think part of that performance is just kind of like letting the Steelers know, hey, this is what I'm capable of doing. If you give me some reps, some weapons, because, before, I've said it, I don't think Mason had a fair shot. And, just look at the weapons he had before, and when you, and one thing what Mason said is he said, they let me have input. And I think some of those deep shots was his input. Man, let me throw the ball, because he knows his strength. And that's one thing, man, it's the strength of Mason, man. He can throw the ball. And I think that's what he didn't have last time. When Big Ben went down and they threw Mason in there, the game plan was for Big Ben Roethlisberger, because he was not throwing the ball all the way downfield. And if you can remember, Mason was throwing those dink and dunks. And people are saying, hey, Mason, why are you throwing those 10-yard passes? Why are you dinking and dunking? Well, Mason, he didn't earn the right to go against what the plan was at that point. He was just grateful to get in the game. You got Ben, it's like, especially the relationship and when he drafted, and, Big Ben didn't take him under the wing and things like that. Was kind of a shaky beginning with Mason. So he's trying to work his way in the system, so he can't, go against the plan. And the plan was 10-yard passes. That's what they had put in for Ben, because he wasn't taking the shots. So that goes into the play of Mason really not getting a shot, because you had a playbook designed for a guy's arm who was on a decline, and your arm is on a rise. So now you let him loose, look what he can do, so I think that's this game is kind of like, hey, I told you, I can do this. So I'm guessing that was Mason wanting to show the Steelers all along, I can play. Just give me some reps and some input and some weapons too. He didn't have Pickens and guys like that in fire move, tight end or nothing like that. So, now you can see what he's about. And I just think that in this game with the Seahawks too, you're going to have to score some points, man. It's just like they're in the same boat as the Steelers. They're trying to make the playoffs and things like that. And, Geno Smith, he's going to come in there. They either got Metcalf, Lockett, and the guys, so they can score. And you seen when the Bengals went and scored, and Mason came back and answered with Pickens with a 66-yarder. So, I mean, that's just, I think that's the best move. And I think that's pretty much not the only move, but right now Mike Tomlin is not in a tough spot. He's not in a tough spot with the Rooneys, because I believe word is out that they want to extend him, so he's not in a tough spot with them. But maybe just with the fans and things like that, he wanna save face. So you go with the hot hand. You don't want to go against the grain and do nothing that, because if you go back to Kenny Pickett, man, and the ankle ain't, and he's out there running a little ginger, belling from the pocket real fast because he don't want to get hit on that ankle. Not saying he would be scared, but if you're not 100 and you know it, you're not gonna really give 100 because you're trying to protect yourself, at any cost, especially if that offensive line, so all signs is pointing to Mason, offensive line, and he's just coming back. You need this game. You can't afford to just have it, if you need to go back to him, if you need to go to him, then go to him. But why not go with the hot hand? A confident person, so Mike Tomlin going with Mason Rudolph over Kenny Pickett, which, like I said, I believe it was a shocker, to hear that coming from him, and that's his guy and everything. But, Mike Tomlin been under some pressure. People been the national medias, they all been, hey, Mike Tomlin, no losing seasons. And now you got Ryan Clark, you got Mike Florio, you got other people starting to change their tune. And now, Tomlin's trying to, he's trying to bring it back. So you got to go with what's working. And Mason Rudolph right now is working. So Mason Rudolph looked like he's going to get another start, which I believe he earned. And we'll just have to see with the quarterback position, how it shakes out for these last 2 games. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to get all the new videos. And until next time, I'm out.